I'm Ben Oster, Director of Product Management here at WatchGuard Technologies. Today, with everything that we are experiencing in the world, the expansion of the remote workforce prior to a global pandemic, the acceleration of this change due to COVID, and the permanent changes we expect to see based on the experience and lessons learned from the unprecedented speed at which we saw this occur, it is critical that we take a renewed look at the way in which we protect our organizations and users. Like many of you watching this, I'm sitting in my guest room in what started as a temporary office and has now transitioned into my permanent workspace. It hasn't always been easy, but I'm hopeful that you have settled into this new experience well through the bumps and bruises of working remote. Before we were all sent home abruptly, many of us were already working remotely. In fact, more than 90% of organizations allowed remote work prior to the COVID-19 outbreak, and nearly 75% of those same organizations expected to more permanently shift to remote work, not less. I know that even though I was based in the office, the amount of time I spent traveling put me squarely into the remote work and remote security category. One of the most interesting statistics that I have seen around working remotely is that almost 60% of the workforce in the United States is compatible with remote work. I haven't seen the same number on a global scale, but as I work closely with so many of you all around the world, I can only imagine you're seeing close to the same statistics. With this amount of the workforce able to work remotely, it is hard for me to imagine a future where at least partial remote work and expanded flexible work arrangements will not take hold. I don't know about you all, but my company has already rolled out communication regarding the rest of our year, and I do not expect to be back in an office until 2021. With the change from a quick shift to a more permanent solution, many organizations are reconsidering their long-term plans and investment strategies. Some of the largest companies like Amazon and Facebook have already announced their long-term plans to allow their workers to remain remote permanently. This new situation creates new challenges for you as you build and manage security solutions for your users. It is more important than ever to ensure that they remain protected wherever they may be working. This new normal, accelerated by our experience with COVID, requires our attention. With any new crisis comes new threats, and COVID is no different. We have already seen spikes in COVID-specific attacks with targeted phishing and spear phishing campaigns. Even without this rapid expansion of the remote workforce, we were seeing a continued rise in the risk to the existing remote population. These remote employees are more susceptible to phishing attacks when outside of the four walls of our traditional offices. We've continued to see the evolution of ransomware as it becomes more sophisticated and spreads more easily through environments. Compromised credentials continue to account for a huge proportion of attacks at nearly 90%, and users remain your first line of defense, even if they're often the least effective. None of these challenges are unique to the remote worker, but it's important to remember that the further away from your traditional perimeter protection these users go, the more complex their threats become. Keeping pace with the changing landscape should not be a restriction on the ability for you to protect these users when they are remote, and focusing your solutions on the protection provided regardless of where they work is key. As you update your security solutions to focus on this new normal, WatchGuard is here to help. Whether you plan to require VPN connections for all your users or plan to let them work on workstations with local security installed, WatchGuard has the right solution for you. Protection against the top threats your users will see, credential theft, phishing, ransomware, and malware are all core protections provided by WatchGuard. Each of these problems has a solution that your users can take with them. Ensuring the identity of a user is critical, with strong multi-factor authentication being key to this task. Detecting and responding to threats at your user's point of access is a core requirement of keeping that user and your data safe. Helping to protect users from themselves with a way to interrupt a connection to known malicious destinations should be a core value proposition of your remote security posture. Making sure that wherever your users travel, they have the protection they need is central to the value available in WatchGuard's user-focused security services. With all the changes we're seeing, we know that this can be an incredibly stressful time. WatchGuard is here for you and happy to help guide you through these changes. Please reach out to your WatchGuard reps or review our other on-demand content to learn more about how WatchGuard can help.